Our drawing program is mostly functional at this point. We could do some little tweaking on it, but we have the ability to add our rectangles and text and to do transformations. There's one major thing which is missing, which is when we make changes to our drawing, it doesn't actually redraw. Another thing that might be nice, you might have noticed that when we created a transform in here, like the one that we start off with, this doesn't have a selection in it, and I'd really rather not have that be the case. So we'll start off, we'll just make it so that in this properties panel, after we've made the combo box, we can set that combo box's selection, combo dot, and once again this will be through the selection model. We get the selection model itself, and then we can tell it that we want to select something, and we want to select the current transform type. Okay, so that way when it's first created, it will be on the value that we have already selected. Okay, now we need to make these lines work. So draw transform, draw text, draw rectangle all need the ability to call this. Right there, because this is something that is going to be common to all of the subtypes, you should probably immediately think that something needs to happen in their common supertype, which is drawable. So, well, this is unhappy because there is no thing called drawing. Okay, so the draw transform needs to know about the drawing, but the draw rectangle needs to know about it, and the draw text needs to know about it, and probably every drawable that we're going to make needs to know about it. So in order to not duplicate the code, that informs us that it should probably go inside of drawable itself. So what I'm going to do here, because I'm using a trait, now if I had made this an abstract class, I could pass in an argument here of maybe say val drawing is a drawing. But this isn't an abstract class, this is a trait, so I can't pass arguments into it. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an abstract val called drawing, which is a drawing, and I'm leaving it abstract so that every subtype will have to define it. Now once I do that, you'll notice this line is now happy. Okay, in fact, I can uncomment all of those and they all work just fine. But it's unhappy at the top because now it says that this needs to be abstract because there's something that's not defined. Of course, this is one of those situations where the solution is not to make this abstract, it's to define that thing. Well, I can do that as simply as passing into here a val drawing. And now my draw transform is happy. Of course, some of these other things are now broken. Draw text, we should go ahead and uncomment these. And when I save that, those lines will all be happy, but the draw text isn't. Now draw text already has a whole bunch of arguments in here. I'm just going to add one more to the beginning, which is the drawing, and that makes draw text happy. Draw rectangle, we can come and uncomment each of those. We need to do the same thing here. We're going to add an extra argument, and of course this, by adding that extra argument, we are now unhappy in the two places where we actually create these things. So both in our draw main, when we instantiate all of these, and in the drawing itself where we make our root transform. Well, the root transform needs to associate with the current drawing. And remember, the keyword that you use for referring to the current object is this. So that makes that happy. And then for each of these, we're creating a new rectangle, a transform, or a text, and we have the drawing that they are associated with, so all we have to do is pass in that additional information. And there we go. Everything is looks like it's happy. It compiles. We can run our program. We can add, So let's add a rectangle here, and I'm just going to translate this 100 by 100, and you can see it automatically moves. If I want to change the color of my rectangle, that works fine. I could add another thing into here. Let's actually add a transform and then a text. Okay. Now our text is starting off at 200, 200. Let's actually make it start off at 0, 0. You can see the 0 point for text is actually the bottom of the line on the text. No, I really wanted to, and it is under the same transformation. So instead of translating here, if I rotate, say by 10 degrees, we get this. The nesting is significant. Let's go ahead and let's take this back to a translate. And I want to add not a text, but a transform. And then under this transform, I'm going to add another text. And then for this text, we'll say rotated. We'll turn this text green. We'll set this to 0, 0. Now, of course, it's on top right now, but I could change it so that it is rotated by 90 degrees. Let's come to this, and we're rotating kind of off to the side here, so I'm not, let me change the rotation on this. Instead of 90 degrees, 9 degrees. Okay, oh, I actually see the problem. It's wind up drawing under the rectangle, and this is because our draw order, when we made our transforms, we are currently adding to the beginning of the list. So it's actually drawing this first, and then this, and then this. So that green text is the lowest one. How about instead of 90, let's go to 180, so it sticks out the other direction. Okay, so I rotated all the way. If I only rotate it 90, it's underneath the box here. I actually don't like that. I'd really like this to do a painter's algorithm. So as our final change here for our drawing program, let's go ahead and go to our draw transform and make it so that when we add a child, here's our add child. I'm not going to do a cons equals. I'm going to do an append to the end so that we get standard painter's algorithm behavior. And so the order, this will also make it so that the order of things in the draw transform matches the order that we see them listed in the GUI. So we're going to take a little break from our drawing program at this point and look at some other things that really we can't integrate into this as well, but that you need to understand for GUIs and graphics so that you can make your applications more interactive.